This episode is brought to you by Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Everything is more exhilarating when you're on your motorcycle, just like your bike is more protected when you choose Progressive Motorcycle Insurance. They offer coverage for your bike, starting as low as $75 per year. And they keep things affordable, with discounts like paid in full, multi-policy, and responsible driver. So raise your kickstands and get to quoting at Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. $75 premium is for state minimum coverage. Not available in D.C. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Ready to make a difference in the lives of fathers and their families? The Show Up Dad podcast empowers the next generation of dads to lead with confidence and love. Your support and our amazing partners help us to create lasting impact. Consider donating $50, $100, or $250 to provide a dad with essential resources. And speaking of incredible partners, let us introduce you to Tallman Equipment. Since 1952, Tallman Equipment has been standing taller than the rest of competition in lineman tools. They provide top quality equipment and solutions for linemen, ensuring safety and efficiency on the job. If you're in need of reliable and durable tools, look no further than Tallman Equipment. Also, don't forget to check out our online shop at theshowupshop.myshopify.com for high quality products that support our cause. From t-shirts and hoodies, stickers, and even children's clothes, we have something for everyone. Not only will we be showing your support for our cause, but you'll also be getting a high quality product that you'll love. To learn more about what we do, visit theshowupdadfoundation.org. You can also find lineman tools at tallmanequipment.com. Thank you for your generosity, and let's empower dads and build stronger families. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another insightful episode of the Show Up Dad podcast. Today, we're thrilled to present a truly inspiring guest who's not just a dad, but a hero, a role model, and a beacon of resilience. A devoted single father, he has taken life's challenges head on and turned them into stepping stones towards becoming the best version of himself. Meet our guest, a man who has donned many hats. He is a skilled lineman from Proud 396 in the heart of Las Vegas, a dedicated father with full custody of his precious 8-year-old son, and a proud dad to a brilliant 23-year-old daughter. His courageous journey is marked by his triumphant battle against alcoholism, having been sober for an impressive 2.5 years. His story is not just about recovery, but about perseverance, strength, and the undying love of a father. Hold on to your seats as we dive into the Chronicles of a Journeyman Lineman, exploring the victories, the struggles, and the lessons that have shaped his remarkable journey. Get ready for a heartfelt conversation that promises to leave you inspired, enlightened, and ready to take on the world. Welcome to the show up, brother.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, man. Well, Fro, I call you Fro, correct?
Yeah. Everybody calls me Fro.
All right. Well, right on, bro. Thanks for coming on this show, man, and just telling our audience, just bringing hope to them and letting them know that there is a way to do it, man, and you can overcome things in life,
Yes, you sure can. The struggle, but, everything is possible, man, if you just put your mind to it,
Yeah, for sure.
Do everything in life. I came a little bit about myself. Actually, I was born in Tijuana. I'm from Tijuana, Mexico. That was where I was born. I came illegal to this country when I was like 14 years old, and I struggled with learning English and being illegal for many years. I was struggling with drug addiction my whole life. I wasn't a drug addict. I was just always having fun and drinking too much, and I got lucky and got into the straight. And in 1999, I think it was when I got into the straight. And the straight, it takes a special kind of guy to do this kind of crazy shit. But yeah, my whole life I struggled with the drinking and stuff. It eventually got bad. I couldn't control myself. It wasn't fun no more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So then I actually reached out for help, and I've been sober for almost only 3 years in February. But totally changed my life. I became a better dad. I have custody of my son since he was like 7 months old. Ended up meeting a girl. I hung on the brothels. That's everybody who knows Fro from the brothels up here in Nevada. So I spent a lot of years in the brothels, and that's where I actually met my son's mom. And ended up falling for her, and we had a kid. And obviously it didn't work out. We haven't seen her or talked to her for about 4 years. So then, it was kind of rough at first. So that's kind of the thing that drove my drinking a little bit because but I didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Being a single dad, working my demanding job, making sure I got my son up early in the morning, take him to daycare, pick him up. My daughter helped me a lot, but it was still, it was all self pity, and I feel like everybody hated me, and I blame everybody for the way I felt and everything. So once I got sober, my life changed. I actually reached out and found a God. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up Catholic, but I never really, believe in God until I found my own personal God, and it changed my life. I'm a much happier man, and I have a purpose now. Which is to be a better man, take care of my kids. And help other people, help other alcoholics, and that's my life now.
I like that you said that you found purpose. I think a lot of times men go through life, and I think that's why they're angry, is because they don't have a purpose, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. I mean, we just live, especially our kind of job. When we're so demanding, we work in crazy hours, storms, and we love the money. That's
Mhm.
our thing. Our money, and because we want to provide for our family, but we never actually think about the time that we spend with our family. That's what matters. It took me
Mhm.
all these years to realize that money is great. Don't tell me we still make good money, but we get so caught up in it that we don't spend time with our family, and we can never get that back. Never. That's
Mhm.
a much. No money can never take that time back with your kids. So I appreciate that now, and I see that now. So I try to spend much time as I can with my son now. So
What caused you to recognize and to realize that time is important and you can't get it back? Like what happened?
actually, like I said, going sober changed my life.
Mm.
Uh, Yeah, I kind of have to look inside myself and actually see stuff that I have inside, and that's what drove me to do alcohol and drugs. You can go.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry.
Man.
But yeah, and it just to see myself because I didn't have a father when I was a kid. I grew
Mhm.
up without a dad, so it's crazy how all that stuff affects you. You don't realize it until you start growing. You have this emptiness that you find in yourself, and usually you get guide yourself towards either with sex, drinking, fucking drugs, work. We hide ourselves and that stuff. It keeps our minds busy, so we don't
Mhm.
think about the stuff that's actually affecting us inside. And it took me getting sober to understand that a lot of the shit is my problem. It's shit that I had inside of me that I needed to find out, see, and deal with that I never dealt with before. Because before I just cover it up with a partying or whatever I can find, even work, I just have myself in work and I don't think about stuff that was actually that I needed to see and to make me realize, there's something greater for me out here than just partying all the time.
Yeah. I'm glad that you pointed that out, Fro, about work, because a lot of times we justify, hey, man, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't chew, all this stuff. But work can
Yeah.
be an addiction, right? Um,
Work work has been my addiction for many years too. That's part of one of my addictions. I had so many addictions before.
mhm. Man, and I agree with you because I gave up drinking, I gave up, um, drugs, smoking, chewing tobacco, pornography, all kinds of different stuff. But
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, I was not healed yet. So I traded all those addictions into another addiction. And for me, it was this hobby that I was into, right?
Yeah.
And it was raising game fowl, right? I used to raise chickens for professional fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The
I had a used to
palenques.
do that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that was my vice, bro, and I justified what I did, by telling my wife, "I'm not at the bars, I'm not doing all this stuff. I'm
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
I'm in the chicken yard, I'm with my roosters." You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah.
dude, it
I
got
got
out of
you.
hand, bro. It almost cost my wife her life, dude, because unfortunately, I would import some of the best chickens in the world from all over, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
I brought in some chickens from the East Coast, and unfortunately, there was some ticks that came with
Oh,
them, and yeah, and it brought some
that's it.
some Lyme disease, you know what I mean? And my wife got bit and my son got bit. And that's the only thing I can think of where it came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So, all our decisions, what I'm getting at is all our decisions that we do, not just doesn't affect us, it affects the ones we love.
exactly. It does. Because I didn't realize how much damage I was doing to my kids. My son was really young, but
Mhm.
when he was really young, my daughter pretty much, she did homeschooling, so she stayed home to help me with them. So she was doing homeschooling while I was doing work.
Mhm.
And then I was still, full of myself, and I would go party and just leave her at home with my son, man. Like she'll be calling me dad, when are you coming home? And I would just try to buy her with money, say, hey, I give you $200-300, just take care of your brother. But at
Mhm.
the same time, it was affecting her because I wasn't being, I wasn't there for her. And she
Mhm.
took on the role of being the mother, being only 15, 16 years old at the time. And it was pretty fucked up. I was a piece of shit, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, the good thing is that you've made the changes, you know what I mean? It's never too late. So don't be so hard on
Oh
yourself, you
no,
know.
and that's one of the things about this program that I'm doing. That you
Mhm.
cannot change the past, but you can always make up for it every
Yeah.
day. From now on, I'm going to prove to you that I'm not the same person I was, and it took a
Mhm.
while for her to trust me, because she'll be calling me, where you at? And then she I was going to be gone drinking. I'll be gone for a day or two, but it took her about a year for her to actually start trusting me again. And now that I've been sober for so long, and I usually follow my program, I do meetings, and then I do a lot of, I go to prisons, I go to jails, I go to recovery houses and speak and tell my story and try to help
Mhm.
somebody else. That's what I do now. And I still focus on my work and try to, it's hard sometimes because I try to live a straight and narrow, but you still get caught up outside, with people that have, issues, and you can't change people. And I tried that before when I started this program. People are going to do what they're going to do, but there's been people that have reached out to me for help, and I just guide them. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I did, and try to
Mhm.
live by example. I said, this is what I do, and this is why I'm still sober, and this is why I have a happy life, and everything. Everything if you do right shit is going to happen to you.
Mhm.
It's karma. So I try to be a good man and do right and help people out in the program, and that's what I live by now. And hopefully that's going to help my son. Because eventually he might be one like me. I think.
Mhm.
Having had no mom, and then eventually he's going to find out, like, where's my mom? Where's she been all this time? And he was actually a prostitute too, so that's not going to be nice. Try to deal
Yeah.
with that stuff. It's probably going to affect him. So that's what I focus on, my recovery, and try to learn and do what I can so I can teach him and hopefully help him out. So that's what I do. This also for my son.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely going to see the stability in you, especially you putting in all the hard work. So that's going to really, really help him, because children, they need to know that they're come from a stable home, right?
Yeah,
Um, Especially boys, they need structure, and that's something that only a man can give, a father,
exactly.
right? Especially their identity.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I know it's a lot that you got to do for him, but man, it's going to pay off dividends, especially when they get into those teenage years, you know?
yeah, yeah. He's a good kid.
Hmm.
He's a good kid. I love him. And it's easier now that he's gonna be 8 years this weekend. So
Hmm.
we have a little birthday party for him. But it's a lot easier. The older he gets, it easier to try to structure him.
Hmm. What are some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them being a single dad with both your daughter and your son?
Well, I had a really good relationship with my daughter. I always had a good relationship with her, and
Hmm.
her was she was easy to deal with because she was older when my son came into the picture. But
Hmm.
with my we did she was kind of like a free. Me and my daughter got along very well. Like, she got her first tattoo when she was 15. So a
Hmm.
lot of people will look down on me because I was a free spirit guy that let my daughter do whatever she wanted because she was a good kid.
Yeah.
And people judge you because the way you raise your kids sometimes. And I was, she got her first car when she was 15, and a lot of people looked like, well, she's just spoiled, and she's a good kid. She's been a good kid. She's still a great kid. So, and my son, it was hard with my son, man, because I had a family help me out a lot, but it was just rough, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I went through that, and I'm here now, and everything that happened all this time, got led me to this point right now in my life where I'm happy with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed my life, man. I don't know how to explain that. And people look at me and like, oh man, how do you have fun with no alcohol? Or
Yeah.
it's crazy. You can have this life. There's a life you can live beyond your dreams if you just get your shit right. And you love
Yeah.
yourself. Because I didn't love myself back then.
I like that you said that, Fro. Love yourself. There's a Mike Ness song, right, by Social Distortion. He says, "How can you love unless you love yourself?" Right,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
that's one of the lyrics that he says. And it's absolutely true, bro. How can you love other people when you don't even love yourself? You
Exactly.
gotta love yourself first. You know,
Exactly.
and then out of that abundance, it pours out from you onto your children and your loved ones.
Exactly. And people see that, there's
Hmm.
people see that you're happy, and because when you're hurt, they say that hurt people, and when
Hmm.
I was hurting people, and there's nothing, and I didn't see that until I went through this phase of my life, that changed my life. So
It's crazy that you said that hurting people hurt, and that's absolutely true. And I remember a certain situation in my life where um I would, like, if I was dealing with something internally, like, because I get really down on myself, right?
yeah,
And I was dealing with some stuff that was happening, internally, and I didn't voice it out because I didn't know how to
exactly.
communicate at the time, right? But so I was dealing with this anger, and I was really angry with myself. And the crazy part of that is when you're angry with yourself, you don't even realize that your actions are coming out. They're exuding from you, right? So when my wife or my daughter at the time, she was just a little thing, you know what I mean? She would come and try to get my attention, whatever. I would just respond horribly, right?
Mhm.
Respond
Yeah.
horribly out of the pain that I was feeling. And I didn't realize I was responding that way, right? Because I was
Mhm.
so focused on what I was thinking on or what had happened during the day or what had happened to me in the past or
Yeah. Mhm.
whatever. And I was causing damage to my daughter. And I didn't mean to do that. And I didn't mean to do that to my wife, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But nevertheless, not meaning to do something doesn't change the fact that it happened and the
Mhm.
repercussions from that. My wife literally thought I hated her. Not only that, my daughter had this void inside of her growing up where she didn't know if her dad was going to yell at her or what. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Exactly.
And I saw that same thing in my daughter the other day. I saw her where she shuts down if she's replaying the day, if something happened or whatever, she shuts down. And it looks
Yeah.
like she's pissed off and angry, but it's not anything we did. It's just she's living in her head. And it wasn't until that moment that God gave me clarity and realization if that's what she learned from me and that's what I used to do. And at that moment, it became a teaching moment. I had the opportunity through the grace of God to explain to her, look, honey, I did the same thing. You're living in your head and you don't even
Exactly.
realize that when you're doing that, the way you respond to people
Yeah.
is negative and you don't mean to do that. And man, it was just a powerful teaching moment because the bottom line is God uses our children to show us what he needs to change, that we need to change in ourselves.
Exactly.
You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah, because I do the same thing, and being a man, we grown up showing not to don't show our emotions. You just deal with this shit, and you just keep it to yourself, and then eventually we just explode. One day we explode, and that's when the shit goes bad. When we go crazy and start beating people up or fucking doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
because we don't know how to show emotions. We never thought how to show emotions. I didn't have a dad that told me how to be a man or how to control my emotions. I was raised by my mom, and my mom was pretty tough, just raising me and two other sisters and my brother. But she was just trying to make it. She was unhappy because my dad was gone, and then at the same time, like tried to do the best she could, and she did. She wasn't an alcoholic or nothing, but
Mm-hmm.
she beat us up. That's how she got her frustrations out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never "I love you, son." There was no love growing up for me. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was, yeah. I wasn't raised on love. I was raised on survival.
Yeah.
Especially coming from where I came from with poverty.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's a lot of us that are like that. We w- we never were shown love, and we fell into survival mode, like you said.
Yeah,
And a lot of people now are still replaying that same track, even in their
exactly.
adult life. Now they're not in thriving mode; they're in survival mode.
Survival, yeah, yeah. That's
You
what
know.
that's what we gotta. For me to break shame
Mm-hmm.
in my life for my kids. I'm the one that's breaking the thing where I show my kids love because I was
Mm-hmm.
never shown love when I was growing up. So I'm trying to be different. Change the past, change how my whole life we lived together. Because my
Mm-hmm.
parents were the same way. They didn't get show love, so it's not their fault. And that after I did my resentment thing, and I actually went and forgave my dad for all that stuff, and talked to my dad, and I, I I lived my whole life with this miserable thing and this thing that they say that I have for myself because my dad wasn't there. But and once I realized that my dad was an alcoholic too. My
Mm-hmm.
dad suffered just like I did because he had his own things that he dealt with growing up. And once I
Mm-hmm.
understood that I was just like him because the way he was, then I understood that that's why he did what he did. That's why he lived his life. And
Mm-hmm.
now I have a relationship for him after that's been like 50. I'll be 50 years old, and this past 2 years being sober, that's actually the only time my whole life that I actually can have a conversation with my dad and like totally listen to his stories now. Before my whole life, I never like, hey, what's up? Or it was never it was never like a father and son thing. Now it is. So it took me my whole life to find that kind of love with my dad.
And how impactful was that for you? Like seriously, because there's so many father wounds out there, and there's so many people that have issues against their father, right?
Yeah, yeah. I did my whole life. Yeah.
So how important is it to you for the people that are listening for them to forgive their fathers? Not forget what they did, right? Because that's not.
You can't forget what they did, but putting yourself because we think that they're just bad people, but if you actually put yourself in their shoes, like what
Mm,
they go through, what was their life, what was their childhood like. So if you understand where people came from, like even you try to date a girl, you find out how she was in her childhood, how she
mhm,
was raised, how they were raised, and you ask them how they were raised, and they tell you the story, then you will understand why they did what they did. They were
mhm,
just trying to deal with the way they were raised.
mhm,
Just like we were. But for me to understand that, I had to actually go to my dad and look at his life and
mhm,
understand that he was. I'm just like my dad, an alcoholic that grew up with that drive, you know,
mhm,
childhood that was putting stuff, and it was survival. He didn't have no love even growing up. He left home when he was 6 years old, I think, came to America.
mhm,
So he never had the dad or mom thing because he was up here so young.
mhm,
And then he became an alcoholic just like I did because he probably had all these things that he didn't deal with when he was a child. And
mhm,
that's what drove us to drink alcohol or do drugs. So I understood now once I got sober and I actually got into it and tried to. There's a lot of things that I do to learn, like
mhm.
childhood trauma. There's relationships. A lot of stuff. Our relationships are caused to by our childhood, the way we were raised. Like
Yeah.
I was with my mother. My mother, I was the man of the house since I was born, and for me was my whole childhood was to make my mom happy. So guess
Mm,
what? When I started dating women. I usually dated women that were females that needed a man because. So every time every relationship I had, it failed because
Yeah.
I was doing my best to fix them. You can't
Mhm.
fix somebody, and I didn't understand that. Until I got sober. That most of my relationships is part of my childhood too.
Mhm. It's crazy that you said that, bro, because that's one thing I always talk, to the men I deal with. When they tell me about their relationship or whatever, you know what I mean, and or they're complaining about their spouse, right?
Yeah,
And I tell them, health marries health. There's a law of attraction out there, and if you're unhealthy, guess what? You're going to attract that same person.
exactly.
You
My
know.
whole life, yeah, my whole life. I mean, my son's mom was she worked in a brothel,
Hmm.
and I'm always up to the hot, crazy girls that are broken, that need help, that didn't have daddy issues, and try to fix them. And every time it doesn't work out, you can't fix somebody, Once I
Think of
realized that, then
Yeah, and think about that too, bro. I mean, isn't it awful that the girls that are beautiful, right? Like you just
yeah,
said, the hot girls, how broken they are.
exactly.
Man, if men would stand up in their roles and start
Yeah,
leading their families correctly, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Imagine how many young girls wouldn't be pushed into prostitution, wouldn't be sex trafficked,
exactly. And that's
go into the porn industry, all these different things,
exactly,
you know?
exactly. That's what, for me, I was lucky that I was with my daughter, and I tried to do the best I can, but I showed her how she should be treated.
Mhm.
So, she's a spoiled girl. She's always went. So when she finds a man, he better step up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And
So
I don't particularly think it's spoiled. You were showing
no,
her love. You know what I mean?
exactly. How to be treated.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know. Now that we're talking about your daughter, she's of age now. Have you had to deal with these tough conversations, like particularly about your life's hardships or your own personal struggles? Have you been able to share with her a little bit why you acted a certain way back in the day and
Yeah, yeah.
all that?
I made a part of the Toaster program is to make you amends. So
Yeah.
you go back and you tell them what how you
Mhm.
felt, and you're sorry, and you have to make your changes, and then you usually ask them, so what else did I do?
Mhm.
And then they'll tell you their story. A lot of stuff that I didn't know that I did, because in my stand of mind, and she actually pointed out a lot of stuff that I didn't even know that I
Mhm.
affected her. So we had our closure, and we had our time to make peace, and I told her I was going to be the different guy now, and she trusted me. Now we always had a good relationship, because she always had my back. She used to come and pick me up bars when I was wasted, man. And then and yeah, it was. She went through a lot of shit with me when I was really in my worst days.
Did she have to go to counseling or anything like that because of that? I mean, it's pretty traumatic, picking up your father
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
she hasn't yet, uh,
Okay.
but I'm sure she's gonna have to.
That's I think that's an important thing, you know what I mean? Because a child, when we put them in that position as a parent, as a child, right?
Yeah,
We actually rob them of their own childhood,
exactly. Yeah,
and I see children that have been put in that position, and man, it's like they're not kids, like, and I give you a
yeah,
perfect example. My brother, when he passed away, his oldest daughter, my parents ingrained in her head, you need to start watching out for your daughter, your sister, because she was only like 2 years old, and my brother's daughter was probably about 10 or 11, right? But
yeah,
they're always ingraining into her head, you need to watch out. Don't let anybody mess with your sister or touch her, especially men or anything like that, because your daddy's gone,
yeah,
and because they've done that, I've seen a major change. And it could be also too because she lost her dad and everything like that. And she has
yeah,
to go through counseling and everything. But man, it's like she's not like a little girl. Like when you talk to her, it's like
yeah,
talking to an adult. There's like no joy, no nothing. You know what I mean? It's odd, and it's
yeah.
it's sad,
Yeah, my daughter grew up pretty fast too, because me and her mom being divorced and going back and forth and all the stuff she dealt with. We both had
Hmm.
problems. So She grew up too fast for her age, especially after my son was born. She was 15 when my son was born.
Mm.
Then me and my ex, she just wouldn't get along with her because she was only 10 years older than she was. She was a younger one, and it was rough for her to deal with it. So yeah.
Mm.
She grew up too fast too.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Fro, because this is an industry where, there's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of vices that happen, right? Um,
Yeah.
how important it is for you to stay away from those areas. You know what I mean? Like I heard it once said that, you know, if you can't ask God to not allow you to burn if you keep sticking your hand in the fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And do you make it a point to change the people you hang around with, or do you make it a point to stay away from those areas where there might be some kind of temptations, or like how do you deal with it now?
No, actually, being sober, I actually lost the like. I don't crave nothing. I actually
Okay.
still go to the brothels and hang out. Not as much as I used to, but I go hang out with the girls and buy them a drink, and I don't drink. And there's a lot of, yeah, at work, you're always going to have the guys say, hey, we're going to go and have a drink. And I have gone and have drinks with them, but I
Hmm.
don't crave the drink. It's like the crave is over for me. Like I don't crave it no more. But at
Hmm.
the same time, I do my thing every day. I do read my parts of the AA book that I got to read every morning. I do my meditation. I
Hmm.
get up at two in the morning. I go to the gym by 2:30 or 3. I work out from 3:30 to 4, and during that time I'm listening to all these powerful speakers, people that keep my mind right, my thinking. Because my thinking is what fucks me up. If
Hmm.
you think negative shit, then I'm gonna have negative outcomes. So I try to
Hmm.
stay positive. I read hear all this podcast and all these powerful speakers, and try to get everything right in my head. So every morning I do this routine that keeps me going through the day. Once I get home, like I said, I do my meditation, my praying, and then I
Hmm.
get up and go to work. And usually, if I get up to work or like 30 minutes early, I take my 20-minute nap because I got up at 2 in the morning, and then I got to work all day until like 6:30, 5:30. So
Hmm.
it's a long day, but you know, I gotta keep this routine every day. I cannot change it because you can get complacent sometimes, and once you start thinking like, oh, maybe I can have it because
Hmm.
I'm the kind of guy that can I just have one drink, and then if I have more, you know, I go back to the same thing. It'll be hard for me to come back.
Hmm.
So I just gotta stay in track and keep on doing what I'm doing every day.
Yeah, for sure. Fro, for our audience, I wanted to ask you, how do you balance this demanding job and also your responsibility as a single father? I had a past guest on here, Elfie Nieto, and the dude does everything. I mean, he has to cook for his kids, everything. You know what I mean, and carry out a job as well. So how do you balance it as a single father?
Well, actually, I was very lucky. My daughter's mom,
Hmm.
she was she's a recovery too, so she was uh able to help me out. So I actually pay her to watch my son during the week, and then she actually lives here with me, so she takes care of my son while I'm not here, while I'm at work.
Hmm.
I pay her bills, and she gets my son every morning, takes him to school, picks him up, helps him with homework. So when I get home, then it's my part. And then on the weekends, I spend as much every time I can with my son on the weekend.
Hmm. Hmm. And have you seen a
But
greater impact? Just your son growing up now, and just seeing daddy clean and sober, and just spending more attention with him and stuff like that.
yeah,
Have
yeah,
you?
it's totally different because usually back in the day when I was drinking, or
Mm.
I was a weekend drinker, or as soon as I got home on Fridays, I'd be drinking. I had a drink everywhere I went. Like
Mm.
I was a whole weekend. I was just a weekend drinker, so everywhere I went, I had a drink. And you're a different person because either you're hungover or you're drunk or you're feeling buzzed, and then everything irritates you when you're drunk. So my son would ask me, "Hey, let's go outside, Dad," and I would say, "No." I'll be like total dickhead to my kid, because I didn't have the patience, and I was just drunk. you know.
Now that you're sober and you're starting to see things a lot differently, a lot more clear-minded and everything like that, do you feel that now that you're getting healthy that you're starting to recognize because obviously you want another woman, right? God created you with these needs, right? You're not you're not a eunuch, you know what I mean, where you can
Yeah,
handle being by yourself. So are you
exactly.
starting to see a difference in the choices you're making as far as with women go and stuff like that, like what you're looking
Yeah,
for now?
for sure. Now, especially going through my recovery and
Mm-hmm.
all this red flags. So I can see now. I'm not saying that I'm right, but I see a lot of women in the program. They're in recovery, and they're
Mm-hmm.
different people because they're actually trying to fix themselves. So you can see that on a woman,
Yeah.
and I still got a lot of shit inside that I got to fix for myself too. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just hoping God is guiding me to the right way, and hopefully that I'll find a woman. There's a lot of beautiful women in AA. Let me tell you, but
Mm-hmm.
I just trying to find the right one. And I'm not just gonna. Uh, I'm not chasing all the strippers and hookers and shit no more.
Yeah.
Before that was my thing. It
Mm-hmm.
was a crazy, cool, freaking life though. I'm not gonna say it was bad because it was pretty wild, and I enjoyed every until eventually just it wasn't fun. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was nice.
You say that it was a crazy lifestyle and all this stuff, but then you say it wasn't no more fun. Like, when did it stop become fun for you? Like what was the turning point for that?
Depression. I got depressed. It
Depression.
was yeah, I had depression, anxiety. Like I didn't
Mhm.
even can drink like 3 or 4, 5 drinks before I went out to hang out with people, so I can be buzzed enough so I can deal with people. I couldn't just go
Mhm.
and hang out sober because I needed to before I got there so I can have fun with them. You know.
Mhm.
And there was depression. I'll be sitting at home sometimes drinking by myself, and that's the thing.
Mhm.
When you're sitting at home drinking by yourself every weekend, it got to that point where I didn't want to go out. I just want to sit at home and get drunk.
Yeah.
And that yeah, that was just depression and anxiety because I didn't want to be seen, and
Mhm.
go
No,
to the
that's
brothel and hang out with the girls, and I will get they get drunk and they go to sleep, and then I'll be out there by myself on the bar because nobody wanted to hang out. I still wanted to drink some more, and everybody was normal people. They have a few drinks and just go to bed, and I
yeah.
couldn't stop.
Wow. How did that affect your work? Were you able to still show up and do work, or did it eventually start bleeding off into work
Well,
and
just
your
just like
performance?
we I mean, we're all linemen, so we
Yeah.
all party on the weekends and show up hungover and feeling like shit. But
Mhm.
yeah, I had a few. My last low bottom was I failed a drug test. When I was some girls from the brothel, they called
Mhm.
me out. They were here with a trick, and they say, "Hey, "Bro, you want to come and hang out with us? We just got done with the strict weekend, and we want to see you." So of course I say yes. I went out to the bar with them, and then we went and had sex, and then came back to the bar, and I was getting too drunk, and then one of the girls said, "Hey, you wanna bump so we can have more sex?" So I actually did a 9 o'clock, and then went to work, feeling like shit. But
Mhm.
told me I just had my drug test like the week before,
Mhm.
and I showed up to work that Tuesday and say, "Hey, they lost your drug test." And I don't usually do drugs, I was just drinking, but I did that weekend because the girls wanted me to, and I knew I just took the drug test that week before.
Yeah.
So I had to go drug test, and I failed the drug test, of course, and that was my bottom when I said, "I need help. I'm done with this shit." And it was broke my heart to tell my daughter that, like, "Hey, I got laid off until I get this program down to go back to work because I failed the drug test." And I think
Mhm.
that was my bottom where I said, "I'm done with this. I need some help." And I reached out to a friend that was in AA, and she helped me and guided me through the program, and I've been sober ever since.
Mm. Man,
Yeah.
that's crazy, man. the very thing you love, your line work and being able to work and this wonderful job, you know what I mean? It almost cost you that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but I never showed up or did drugs at work, but
Mhm.
just being hungover and you start thinking different once you mind clears out from all the fog. It takes
Mhm.
about 3 months of getting sober to clear that shit in your mind, and then you start seeing everything make sense. Before everything was so foggy and everything was either coworker or the boss, or you always bitching about the boss. You know, I love my job. I love what I do. I love being a lineman.
Yeah.
And you're gonna deal with people that are different. And that's part of life. If you just let that get to you, and it's gonna affect you, and it's gonna break your peace, and you just walk away from it.
Yeah.
Like I give everybody a chance, and I just love my job, and if I'm working with you, then I'll work with you, and I'm down. I'm an easygoing guy now.
Yeah. No, for
Yeah.
sure. No, that's good, man. I'm glad you had to, I'm not glad you went through that, but I'm at the same token, I'm glad that
No,
you
I'm
had
glad
to
I
go
did.
through that to make the changes, right?
Yes, yes. I'm blessed. I'm a grateful alcoholic, they call it, because I'm grateful that I became an alcoholic, because otherwise I
Mhm.
would have found this life that I'm living now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, wanted to ask you, since we talked about all that gloom and all the craziness and stuff like that, right? Can you share with us some special memories with your children that have been particularly impactful?
When my daughter growing up, with my daughter, I was she always did sports, baseball
Mm,
and basketball. So I was every summer. I'll take the summer, 2 weeks off of summer, and go to camps with her and make sure I was there with her every day, whether it's either basketball or volleyball camp. I
mhm,
never missed one of her games, whether basketball or volleyball.
mhm,
And we always share a special time on the weekend, because once she started living with me, we usually had a date night where we went to watch a movie on the weekends, and go and have lunch in a special place that we like. Applebee's was a
mhm.
special spot for us. So me and my daughter did most of her young when she was young. That's what we did. Me and her was also a special bond with her.
Mhm.
You know. And with my
Mm,
son, me and my son did jujitsu and Muay Thai, so we do that shit every other day after work.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the reason why I ask you that is because you talked about having a purpose, right? When we came
yeah,
on this show. Sometimes when we're going through heavy stuff, it's good to have these special memories so we can draw back and
yeah,
remember what our purpose is and why, our why basically,
exactly.
you know. And I'm glad that you're able to recall on those because I know for me, I have to recall on those memories, when I get down on myself, when
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
life gets hard or whatever. I have to put myself back into those memories and remember the why.
Yeah, I'm very open about my recovery, and I don't know if you've seen my Instagram, but I'm always posting positive stuff and stuff about
Hmm.
recovery. And a lot of people actually reach out to me all the time and ask me for guidance or stuff like that, which is just giving back, what I got, try to
Hmm.
help other people out. And memories with my kids, I post a lot of stuff on my kids, me and my son doing stuff, because that's like my photo album.
Yeah.
If I
Uh,
die tomorrow, my son can go back and see all the stuff we did on Instagram.
hmm, right.
Yeah. Back in the day, we still have the photo albums. We don't have that shit no more.
Yeah, it's all Instagram now, huh?
Instagram or Facebook. So
Yeah.
that's where all the memories are gonna be. He's gonna go back and look at those like from 10 years ago, like we were doing.
That's really cool. I never thought about that. You're absolutely right. It is a virtual photograph album, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the memories right
So
there.
yeah, that's really cool. I never thought of it like that. But yeah, I mean, I got tons of photos on there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah. That's what I always post stories and stuff that we do, so he
mhm.
can look back at that when he was, his age.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Fro, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to other single parents or people battling with addiction who might be listening on our podcast today, brother?
Find your purpose, find a meaning in your life. There's take time for yourself. Take time for yourself. Find some kind of faith. Some kind of religion. Find your own God, whatever. A higher power bigger than yourself. There's something out there that's going to help you out. You just gotta reach out and look for it. I don't know. It took me going to Alcoholics Anonymous to become to find my new purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Be a better dad, to be a better human. Co-worker, employee, all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people struggle with shit, man, and guys are so afraid to come out and express like the feeling. And that's what this is. Men's from age, I don't know what age it is, but there's a lot of suicide. I got a lot of friends that commit suicide,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because they don't know how to share their emotions or ask for help. And if you just ask for help, and that we struggle. A lot of friends struggle with mental shit, PTSD.
Yeah.
You got guys that went to the service, that have PTSD. You got guys that their childhood that got mental, a lot of. There's help, they just got to reach out and ask for help, man. And there's something out there that can help you out.
Mm-hmm. Man, no, thank you, man. I appreciate that, Fro. I appreciate you coming on here and being transparent and being able to share with our audience, what you do to be successful, man. Super proud of you, brother. Truly
Thank you,
am.
man. Appreciate you too. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. How could someone reach out to you? You talked about Instagram and all the stuff you put out there. Can you share with our audience now how they can reach out to you if they have questions or anything like that?
Yeah. This I don't know how to post my Facebook or Fernando Chaidez on Facebook, and then my Instagram is fro.28. That's my Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
And then if anybody wants to follow me or need help, I can show you what I did, or I can guide you what you can do to get some help. I follow a lot of people that are helping me to get better. So
Mm-hmm.
I changed a lot of the stuff that I used to just chase hot girls and like hot girls, but now actually chasing people that are helping me to become better. So there's a lot of help out there.
Yes. No, for sure, for sure. And I thank you for coming on here and just bringing hope to those people that need to listen to this. I know it's going to bring tremendous value to our audience, and I appreciate you, Fro, and your courage, bro. I truly do.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing too, because you're helping a lot of people out too, man. What you're doing is cool. That's what when Johnny told me that, I started watching your stuff. What you're doing is awesome, bro. I'm glad you're doing this
Mm.
too.
I
You're a
appreciate
great
that for
example
sure.
too. So
No,
yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that. And what's crazy, dude, is we are the backbone of America. That's what they call us as linemen, right?
Exactly.
It's time for us to start stepping up and being the backbone for our families,
Exactly.
you know?
And for our brothers too, bro. For our brothers.
Absolutely, bro. No, right on, man. Thank you for coming on here, and we
Thank you, man. I
appreciate you.
appreciate you.
And we'll be talking to you soon, brother. Thank you.
All right, bro. Thank you so much.